Y'all, happy Tuesday. So this is your first um, homework assistance video, and this will be for EL2. EL2, which is context clues, identifying. Remember, as I said, throughout this week, we're going to be expounding on this. So this is like the first easy day, but you will use this exact same step to help you with Friday, which is going to be that larger version of you being able to truly break down your thinking in terms of how context clues help you identify the meaning or determine the meaning of unfamiliar words. All right? I want to jump right into it, and I'm going to show you the sheet that you're pretty much going to use for the bulk of your homework assignment. Let me turn this around. So this sheet here would be what you would always refer to. It has everything that you need. One thing that I noticed today is that a lot of people are really good with this last one. And again, just kind of give you clarification, this sheet gives you 3 ways in which you need to be thinking about how context clues help us determine meanings of words. Point blank period. All right? So as I said before, here, a lot of you are in this space. So a lot of you are good with context clues if the author is able to compare unfamiliar words to something else within the same sentence or the same paragraph. So for example, with your do now, we notice that the word promenade means walkway. That's one definition, some walkway. Fix that. All right? And a lot of you were able to say, well, I knew that because it talked about the promenade only becoming a promenade if this road could be paved to look like a pathway. So you notice that the author was able to compare a paved road that becomes a pathway to this idea of a promenade. All right? However, there's also another, which is thinking about mood, or also reference. It says reference, and I'm sure you can see that. And so sometimes if you're reading a text and you realize that for the last page and a half or 2 pages or within this one paragraph, there seems to be a positive or a negative mood or a negative vibe or a positive vibe, whatever just keeps coming through, more than likely any new word that you're getting in that paragraph probably fits that vibe. So a negative mood on a page means that that word probably is a negative word, and you want to figure out what that is. So for example, in your CFU that you had today, that's kind of where that comes in. So you have the word inhospitable, and there's 2 possible answers. One's a little bit stronger than the other. But you have the word inhospitable, and if I'm reading this entire thing, you notice that this text, this paragraph so far, is talking about being in a storm. The storm where there's just a lot of dangerous things happening. There's this wild water. There's a part by this island where it says the rocky projection that seems to pretty much destroy small boats, bring them to their deaths. So you kind of have that going on. The word threatening. So everything in this paragraph is pretty negative, which means inhospitable should be a negative word. But what about the sea can be described in a negative way? Well, maybe they're saying that this sea is very dangerous or this sea is very harsh. So B or D, because of the mood of this paragraph, can pretty much lead us in that direction. But then we have another, and that is characters. Really thinking about characters, and when you know, this is pretty much knowing the story. When you really understand the story, you've been reading the story, you know what this character is going through. More than likely, if you come across a word while that character is still going through a certain situation, that word may have something to do with that. So for example, there's story 2 with Lizzie. Story 2 with Lizzie and Lem. And we know that in that story, it's pretty much during slavery times, and they had ran away from the slave plantation. So my first thought, and your first thought as a reader is, what are all the things that I know about slaves? Well, we know slaves were brought over, they were seen as property, they were being sold and bought, so there was money attached to them. So there's all these things that we do know. So in that case, You come across the word like contraband, and you can ask yourself, well, what do I know? If a soldier, in this case, a soldier saw these two and called them contraband, you can ask yourself, what could this word mean, knowing that these are slaves who have run off a plantation? Well, there's a few things. Now, one big thought, if you understand the fact that they were seen as property or seen as merchandise, you can definitely say it could be illegal goods. That's fine. But contraband also, in some extent, for this particular context, could also mean runaway slave. So it could mean that they were runaways, simply put. So A or C could work well too with this because we do know the characters and what they're going through and how they all connect. So that's usually the easy part. And if I'm giving you some options to do that, then yeah, you're going to be able to catch that. But the push is you being able to explain that. Being able to explain, well, how in the world did I get there? Most times, a lot of you would just say, well, I saw this word and this word, made me think this. And you never make the connection in the middle. So I don't know how it made you think, quote, this, meaning that word. Some of you will just simply keep saying, well, the context clues help me, but you don't really explain the context clues. This is where your explanation comes in. So, for example, if we go back to that do now, which you should have in your notes for the model, you need to be able to explain how these context clues use comparisons to help you come to your understanding. So that can simply be the word, quote, promenade means, quote, walkway because the context clues use, and we can say it uses comparisons, so the context clues use comparisons, I'm running out of space, use comparisons to and we can say they use these comparisons to connect the change of a road into a, quote, pathway by paving it. But we're still not done, because now you can say, well, what about the pathway? So when they use comparisons to connect the road change the road into a pathway by paving it, the pathway is similar to a walkway. Here. And we can simply just say that, and that's fine. Another way of just saying this to be right to the point, promenade could mean walkway because a pathway is similar to a walkway, and the context clues compared a paved road to a straightened pathway before becoming a promenade. Or any way you want to say it, but as long as I see the fact that you can talk about the word comparison or compare in that, and knowing that the author used comparison to get there, that's fine. Now, when we talk about the mood, same thing, and I'm gonna go with. I'll just go with danger. So I'll go with the lighter word here, and you can say the word, quote, inhospitable, end quote, could mean, quote, dangerous, end quote, because the mood of the paragraph Um, so the mood of the paragraph is negative. Is negative, and in the language that some of you used in class, it's negative and, quote, scary. Like threatening and demise. This led me to see the sea. That kind of sounds funny saying it together. To see the sea as possibly dangerous. So here, same thing, but at least I know that you're using mood, and you're telling me it was the mood of the paragraph, knowing that it was negative, knowing that that negativity made you think about things that were scary because of words like threatening, because of words like demise, and that's why you thought it could possibly, the sea could possibly be described as dangerous. It just made sense. And that's fine. And that's fine. Lastly, when we think about this first one, now you've been able to explain just your thinking of the story and what you know about the characters. So this could simply be the word, quote, contraband could mean, quote, and let's go with runaways. You say runaway. Some of you did choose that. Runaways because the characters, Lizzie and Lem, have run off their slave plantation, and I'm running out of space, but I got in there, and are, let's say they are caught by some soldiers who scream contraband while in the woods, comma, possibly while they're in the woods, possibly making it obvious what their status was. In this case, period. So in this case, they were still slaves who had escaped, or anything of that nature. And so, at least here, it tells me that you have some understanding about the characters and how those characters pretty much, that understanding of what they're going through in the story kind of led you to understand contraband. Andrea did a really good job today with how she explained. I wish I would have took a picture of it to show you. And so as I'm going through mine, I just want to be very clear, like, yeah, I could give you my own personal way of how I would explain it in a more detailed way than what I'm doing now. But the fact of the matter is that everybody's going to have something different. The way that your mind thinks is different. And so the only thing I'm asking, because these can look 100 different ways. I'm just asking you to be able to say, is it a character? Is it a mood? Or is it a comparison? What exactly is it that you're saying about the information that you're providing to support your understanding of that unfamiliar word? All right? So hopefully, let me me see if I can turn myself upside down. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, so hopefully that should be some good support for you. And again, you're going to come back to this eventually when we start to really break it down. You're going to need this as part of that breakdown. It's going to be very clear that you understand that. Alright? So if you decide to do that homework assignment, I think it's the first one where it says, if you're not feeling too good about how you deal with context clues, here's another opportunity. Come back to this video.